Fish is both tasty and good for you. The bustling fish markets and seafood restaurants around the world attest to its popularity. But what about future generations, NT? Is this pleasure still going to be there for them?
Well, Sharon, as you know, many fish stocks are under threat, and many species mostly, as a result of overfishing. One prime example is cod. It used to be a staple in many parts of Europe, but supplies have dwindled. Now scientists are doing what they can to help the cod stocks in the Baltic Sea to recover.
The humble cod has fallen on hard times in the Baltic Sea. All too often they have fallen victim to overfishing. The result? Test fishing vessels come back with empty nets. The Institute of Baltic Sea Fisheries in the North German city of Rostock operates 3 research vessels, which spend 60 days a year out at sea. In a large-scale experiment, the scientists in Rostock measured and weighed 5,000 cod. They then injected them with a fluorescent dye before putting them back into the Baltic. If anglers or fishing trawlers catch one of these marked cods, they're supposed to send them to the Institute. In return, they get €20 per fish. The first specimens have begun arriving in Rostock. Ear bones, known as otoliths, are removed from the fish and analysed. These bones reveal any problems in the growth of the fish and the probable causes. Once under the microscope, rings can be seen, rather like the rings in a tree trunk, that represent layers that have been added each year. In this case, alterations in the rings suggest climate change is affecting the cod's appetite, which has a knock-on effect for reproduction.
If the winters are no longer as cold, then the water warms up more quickly and stays warm for longer, so this phase is longer. That's not good for the cod because they eat less during this time. They can't feed so well on shallow water communities such as seagrass and algae, so that doesn't help stocks.
Constant overfishing is a big problem that has affected cod in recent years. Angling enthusiasts catch over 3,000 tons of cod a year. That's as much as the professional fishing industry. And yet anglers are subject to very little regulation. So that's now set to change. The plan is to allow only cod measuring between 45 and 75 centimetres. Anything smaller or larger would have to be thrown back into the sea. A new type of fishing net could also help ensure that the cod actually remain in the water long enough to produce young. 2 experts at the Institute in Rostock have spent years working on a special kind of trawl net. The original design was intended to let flatfish escape through an outlet at the bottom, while still catching other fish. That worked very well.
A flatfish looks different to a cod and also behaves differently. If I know how the different fish behave, it's much easier for me to separate them. It would make no sense, for example, trying to get flatfish to escape from the top of the net when their natural behavior is to stay close to the sea floor.
So the big question was, could this same principle be applied to other species of fish? Stocks of flatfish have since recovered. The aim now is to protect cod instead. Another research boat goes out with a modified 2-step trawl net, this time with an opening at the top to allow cod to escape. The fish behave exactly as hoped. The flatfish, marked with a red arrow, swim to the bottom, while the codfish, shown by the blue arrow, move to the top. Modifying conventional trawl nets to work on this principle is easy and affordable. The trawlers would just have to open the top of the net to let the cod swim free, while the flatfish remain trapped in the bottom. In this way, it could actually be a fishing net that ends up helping cod stocks in the Baltic to stabilise again.
A Nigerian initiative is helping to keep the girls in school. The eco-friendly business is offering them low-cost sanitary products. It's the latest news in a series of moves to give young Nigerian women and young girls access to sanitary care products from a lead-proof cotton hemp with antibacterial properties that can hold up to 40 milligrams of blood. These personal hygiene items aren't just accessible. They are cheap, locally made, and above all, 100% eco-friendly. Let's go to Minna in Niger State, Nigeria, and see what this young lady is doing.
Seamstresses at work in the central Nigerian city of Minna. But they aren't sewing clothes. They're making sanitary pads. Olivia Onyemobi is the founder of Pad Up Creations.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's complete. Okay, you just check it out.
She began sewing sanitary pads from fabric in 2016. They're washable and reusable. Each pad comprises 3 layers.
This is what absorbs the blood. Then we cover it with this, and then this one at the back to stop the blood from leaking. So they do the cutting, everything. You can see a whole lot of work.
The pads can be reused for up to a year.
With this, every woman is good to go. You don't need to start thinking about how to, raise money to buy sanitary pads on monthly basis. And then most girls too will have to be in school during their menstrual days. They don't need to, start bothering their parents or all that for sanitary pads.
Many girls in rural Nigeria are forced to stay away from school when they are menstruating because they can't afford sanitary pads, and so it's a serious problem, and one that makes girls vulnerable to exploitation. There are men who demand sex in return for buying them the sanitary pads they desperately need. Reusable pads could be a solution, as they don't require a monthly investment. They're also better for the environment because they reduce waste. Thousands of women are already using Olivia Onyemobi's washable pads.
We have been able to impact the life of over 100,000 Nigerian girls and women. So we have reduced the burying of waste on the earth by 100,000. We have also reduced emission of gas into the atmosphere by 100,000. So I think in the ecosystem, we have also played our own impact by reducing all these in this dimension.
The pads also provide business opportunities to women outside the company. They are sold by female vendors who make a small profit by reselling them.
Our minimum order quantity is 2 cartons, just 2 of this. It's good to go to start a business for a woman. So they get it, and then some of them resell it. A kit of it is 750. Some of them resell it at 1,000, depending on how the market is,
Olivia left a secure and well-paid job at a bank in order to start her business. Her dream is to make both a social and environmental impact.
Nigeria is yet to embrace the message of the ecosystem. We need to, keep canvassing it, keep educating people, and then keep reorienting them so that they can embrace it. Like in my house, I have done that so well. You don't waste water. So they know that wasting of water, there will be a time there will be no water. So if we keep educating, keep reiterating it, people will come to understand that this is not really safe.
Her business looks promising. She employs 51 staff members and production is expanding. Olivia's aim is to supply 500,000 girls with sanitary pads by next year.
So that's all for today's Eco at Africa show. We hope you enjoyed our latest edition about nature and the environment. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye from Abeokuta in Ogun State, Nigeria.
Visit our website if you want to find out more about our stories, or visit us on social media and have your say. Thank you for watching. We'll be with you again next week for another edition of our European and Pan-African Environment magazine. Bye for now.